Hello, welcome everyone to the How to Tackle the Financial and Management Reporting Challenge webinar brought to you by Corporate Renaissance Group. Just so everyone knows, this webinar is being recorded, so it'll be available for view at a later point in time. And also I'll be taking some questions, so feel free to use the questions section of the webinar to input your questions, and I'll answer them at the end of the webinar. So today's agenda, we'll go through a little introduction of myself and Corporate Renaissance Group, and we'll be going through the topic of today's webinar, which is Financial and Management Reporting Challenges and Solutions. And then we'll be looking at a specific solution, which is Board Management Intelligence. So we'll be actually doing a live demonstration of that. So my name is Thomas Ironstone. I am the manager of the Corporate Performance Management and Business Intelligence Division at Corporate Renaissance Group. I've worked on advisory and implementation engagements in both public and private sector across all industries, including manufacturing, tech, services, distribution, beverage, healthcare, insurance, utilities, and many more. And I'll be able to bring some of my experience and expertise in this area as it relates to all these different industries and how we can help address some of the financial and management reporting challenges that we see many companies face. So one of the common challenges, if we're looking at the finance function, so if we're looking at CFOs, finance directors, controllers, seniors accountants, etc., they face unnecessary resource constraints when it comes to dealing with financial and management reporting. Specifically, it's really around spending considerable amount of time creating and recreating reports. This can be done on a routine basis, and it's just very time-consuming for the finance function, even though we're recreating the same thing month to month or quarter to quarter, year to year. There's definitely some efficiencies and that can be gained in that process, and we'll be going through some of this today. So one of the key challenges that the finance function face as it relates to financial management reporting is extracting data from the accounting system. So when we're talking about the accounting system, it could be any platform, whether it's Dynamics, Oracle, SAP, JD Edwards, and many more. It's getting that data out of the financial system. In many organizations, the process, how it looks like and where it causes some challenges is that data is just manually extracted from the accounting system, so exported into Excel. And then the person or people that are producing these management reports have to manipulate the data, massage the data to then produce their reports. So going through that manual process of constantly extracting the data, even if we're talking about transaction data, it's just a really tedious process, and it's very manual. And so we know the data lives in the accounting system, so the ideal solution is to actually integrate into the accounting system to be able to pull all the information we need and automate that process. So this is pulling all of the chart of accounts. So this would be your natural accounts, any account segments, division, or any attributes and categories related to your chart of accounts that are required for reporting purposes. Your trial balances, so this is pulling in your monthly trial balances after month end, or whether you want to refresh it on a more routine basis. And also transactional data, so bringing in all your transactions. So if we're looking at, say, our trial balances and the users of this information when we get to the reporting section want more details, this is the transactional data that they would also want as well. So addressing that, the extraction, being able to get that data out. Ideally, organizations want to move to a more integrated solution where they're able to just automatically extract that data from their accounting system. Another challenge that the finance function faces as it relates to financial management reporting is constantly actually recreating those monthly, quarterly, and annual financial reports using spreadsheets. So Excel, for example. So this can be a very tedious process because there could be a lot of buildup that goes into it, into producing those, whether it's income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, and any pending reports that might go into these monthly, quarterly, and annual packages that are produced. It can be a very, very tedious process. So there, again, could be an individual or many individuals that are working together to produce this in Excel. And again, it's following sort of the same process always, period to period, to produce this in Excel. But given that there is logic in place, the solution, and typically what we look to we're working with these organizations, is to help them establish account mapping. So if we're integrated with the accounting system, as I mentioned in challenge one, in our solution to be able to integrate it to the accounting system, is to be able to establish now the account mapping. So as we're pulling in the chart of accounts, so new accounts come in, all the accounts automatically get refreshed and they roll up into the appropriate lines in the financial statements. And then with that mapping, then when we're also pulling in the trial balances and the transactional data, it has all those same mappings that have been set up. And again, this would be done, say, through integration. And so as that information comes in, all of our financial reports are automatically refreshed. And we're not stuck in that cycle of where we're manually always producing this in Excel month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year. So being able to set up that account mapping can definitely drive many efficiencies in that financial reporting process. Another challenge in the financial management reporting process is validating the results. So as we know, we're working in, say, if you're working in Excel workbooks and you have these multi-tab spreadsheets where, it could be 10, 20, 30 tabs of all this buildup that's being done, and there's all these references, and as you're trying to refresh it with new data, or if you need to make updates to lines in your financial statements, things start to break, and it can drive us nuts, obviously. And if the process is not already time-consuming, be able to understand if a link's broken, a reference broken, or a formula's been overwritten, and be able to trace that down and figure out what's going on can also be very, very time-consuming. And obviously, we want to be able to trust the results. So the idea here is that we want to be able to create structured rules and logic that cannot be accidentally overridden to ensure that everything is being reported on consistently and accurately. So this is critical here because the users of the financial statements want to be able to trust the financial results, and then also the finance team, which owns this process, wants to know that there are structured rules and logic in place, so nothing can be accidentally overwritten. So this provides some ease of mind, so that when the results go out on a frequency or on a period by period basis, that they can trust the results, and that the end users of these financial statements can also trust the results. So this is a really critical challenge, and obviously being able to implement a solution like this can provide a lot of value to an organization. The next challenge is audibility. So this could be from an internal or external audit perspective. So if we're talking about the production of our financial statements, again, we're talking about all this buildup that goes into that process. So there could be multiple working papers. And then for our auditors, if they want to be able to trace back, look at our financial statements and understand how we went from point A to point B, trying to dig through all these spreadsheets can be very, very painful and very time-consuming for the auditors as well. So the ideal situation is we can develop a solution where it will show the buildup to get to the financial statements, show all of the working papers to make it easy for, say, for the auditors to review. So whether it's the export of the trial balances, to show all of the account mappings, to show all of the buildup, say if we're doing even financial consolidation, to be able to show and be able to easily pull up these working table papers to see how we actually got from point A to point B and be able to tie it off. This can be this can save a lot of time in this process and relieve a lot of headaches for the finance team, even for auditors in this process. Another challenge is for the consumers of the financial statements. Say if you send them an Excel workbook, they're looking at a particular line in the financial statement, but they want more information. So they go back to the finance team and they say, can you send me some more details? I want to understand for that expense line what's coming, what builds up that expense line. Why is it this amount? want to be able to drill into the actual trial balances to see what the monthly balances are, maybe broken out by specific accounts and departments. And then also be able to drill down into the actual transactions to say, what was actually happening in that period, what was happening on a day-to-day basis to understand how they came up with that particular value. So to be able to put that in the hands of your end consumers of those reports is a very valuable proposition to the organization. So the solution here is, because we're, again, if we go all the way back to challenge 1, bringing us up to challenge 5, if we're integrated into our accounting system, we're pulling in all of the chart of accounts, we're pulling in the trial balances, the transactions. We have the account mapping set up, so every time anything gets pulled in, it automatically gets mapped into the appropriate lines in the financial statements. That all the logic and rules are in place in our financial statements to know that everything's being calculated correctly on a row-by-row basis. And then also the working papers to know how we got from point A to point B. And then finally, with this drill down capability, when we're looking at those financial statements, to be able to drill into the details for end consumers to answer their own questions, this provides a very nice holistic reporting package for the end consumers. And so ideally, we want to be able to implement a solution that can help us reach that end state. So a solution that we work with is called Board Management Intelligence. It's an all-in-one comprehensive business intelligence and corporate performance management solution. And what this means is, on the business intelligence side, it does data exploration, dashboarding, some modeling, and then on the reporting side, the corporate performance management side, it does everything from financial reporting, strategic management, budgeting, planning, and forecasting, and financial consolidation. And so the key piece that we're focusing on in this whole toolkit for today's session is the reporting aspect of it, to help to understand how we can help alleviate some of the challenges that the finance function faces within organizations. But other webinars will be looking at some of the other features in the platform as well, and how it can help address other challenges that organizations might face. So focusing purely on reporting today, we're going to be looking at the automation of management reporting and those different challenges. We'll be doing a live demonstration of a demonstration model. And so, ideally, in a platform like Board, it helps integrate your P&L, so your income statements, your balance sheet, and your cash flow. So again, everything you integrate into the financial statement, your financial system, accounting system, and everything gets pulled in. All the mappings there. You get the visuals, you get the reports. It's all interactive, all the filters, everything's there for your end consumers. So now we're going to be taking a look at the actual board management application. So this is a demo model. So we find organization to organization, the layouts, and obviously the reporting structures are different, and also colors, graphs, anything like that. Different organizations have their different preferences. So Board is completely configurable. So whether it's layouts and designs, it's designed for end users to be able to make a reporting or corporate performance management application that best suits their organization. So we're going to be going through this demo model, and a few things that I want to look at here was, first, if we go through, I'll do a quick view here of some of the end state in terms of where we want to get to. So here's just an example of a consolidated income statement. So all the data is pulled in. Here we have all of our income statement lines. We have our actuals, comparisons to previous year, maybe even comparisons to budget, for example. So this is an end state where folks want to get. And we'll look at another example here. It could be an external income statement. So it could be different report formats for different groups that require different layouts, different line items. Again, this could be a quarterly report, for example. It doesn't have to be monthly. It could be quarterly. It could be annually. Balance sheet. Anything that's to be produced on a period-by-period basis. All the data from the financial statement from the financial system gets reported on. So quarterly, whether it's monthly, all the same idea. And also graphs as well. So if there's any graphs that are required, Board is a very visual product. So if you want to do comparisons by different products, or sorry, different breakdowns of divisions and different presentation formats, Board has all of this capability available to the end consumers. So now I'm just going to take a step back here. We're going to go through all of the different challenges that the finance function could face in the financial and management reporting process. So the first challenge that we talked about was extracting data from the accounting system. So when we're working in an application like Board, we set up integration so it taps into the actual database of the accounting system. And the idea here is that we run integration and it pulls data directly from the accounting system. So this will refresh your chart of accounts, all of the mappings that are set up inside the accounting system. So it could be segment structures, account type, department mappings, all the critical pieces that we would require from the accounting system with the chart of accounts. And with that as well, we're pulling in all of the trial balances and the transactional data along with the chart of accounts. So this, being able to tap in, addresses that common challenge, and we're pulling in everything that we may need for our financial management reporting purposes. The second challenge that we discussed was going through and constantly recreating those monthly, quarterly, and annual financial and management reports using spreadsheets. So in Board, we get away from the idea of spreadsheets, and having to do everything manually. So in Board, what's happening here is as we're pulling in our chart of accounts, a key thing that we're doing is we're setting up logic as far as which lines in the financial statements things should map to. So for example here, if you scroll down, we see we can set up logic to say that certain lines in the accounting system, certain accounts will map to certain lines in your financial statements. And you can set up logic in a product like Board to be able to say every time a new account string gets pulled in based on different ranges, map it to a specific line in your, say, your income statement, your balance sheet, and be able to have that logic set up. It definitely provides peace of mind that every time anything gets pulled in, it's automatically getting mapped to the appropriate line in your financial statements. So Board can help automate that process as well. The other aspect of it, as we talked about, if we're looking at, say, for example, our consolidated income statement, our balance sheet, the idea of, we have lines for net revenue, cost of goods sold, total operating expenses, net income, anything like that. So when we're actually looking at this, in Board, we can set up rules for the lines in the financial statement to say, for these ranges of rows, this is going to equal total net revenue. For cost of goods sold, if it falls in this range, it's going to be cost of goods sold, gross margin, total operating expenses. So Board can help automate that process so that anytime anything gets pulled in and added, that the rules don't break and everything's in place, so that if you're moving away from that Excel world, that you add new lines and all of a sudden your report breaks. So this is the idea that Board can help address that challenge by having the rules and logic built into the application. Another aspect that we talked about was audibility. So if we're talking about the build-up to how we get to our financial statements. So different companies, whether you're going through a financial consolidation process or other build-up, you can set up any working papers that are required to understand, how we get those different roll-ups and how we're going from our, say, transactions and trial balances into our financial reports. Board can help prepare those different detailed reports. So you might be doing these today in your spreadsheets. So some examples, if we're looking at financial consolidation and we're going from, we're looking at currency conversion, we can set up different tables to show how we're converting the original functional currency into our reporting currency and have all the detailed breakdown. And so you can go category by category, account by account, and see what that breakdown looks like. And so this can be easily exported or accessed by auditors if required. whether there's eliminations that are done in the build up to the financial statements. So those can be set up, whether it's looking at the groupings by account category, split by different companies, whether there's elimination companies that are required, and then all the consolidated results in your reporting currency, any adjustments, so for example, IFRS adjustments, intercompany eliminations, and then the consolidated values by account category. So again, it's just another breakdown that allows the auditors to go in there and understand how you're getting your results. Also, again, a consolidated build-up, whether there's any EBITDA adjustments that are required as well when you're going from, when you're trying to get down to your bottom line. If there's any EBITDA adjustments that are required in that process, you can have a breakdown of the report to say these are the different adjustments. So if the auditors ever want to go in, they can see what adjustments were made to get down to that bottom line. So those are just some examples of working papers. So board gets into, provides the ability for finance teams to build as many schedules as required, and then you can access them. And so when we're going through that financial reporting process on a monthly, quarterly, or annual basis, all those schedules will be constantly updated as the data gets pulled into the platform. The next piece that we're going to get into is and it's really the last piece here, is when the end consumers ask for more information. So say we're looking at a financial statement, and if, say I'm a business head, I'm in a business division, or I'm on the senior management team, and I want to get some more information related to a particular line or a particular cell, if it's in Excel, they might have to go back to the finance team and say, oh, can you get me some more information on product sales for this particular period? So we want to make the reports interactive. So as simple as a click of a button, the idea is that the business, say the business manager or the senior management team member would be able to click and drill down into the details, where they'd be able to see, for this example, the breakdown of product sales by division, by company, be able to drill into the details, see splits this year versus last year. So anything that they might want to see, even such as trends and breakdowns by different divisions or groups, to be able to just click and drill down, as opposed to having to go back to the finance team to be able to provide that information to them. So again, at the click of a button, they might have questions, they can drill down into the details. And then the final piece that they might require as well would be transactional level details. So again, if we're looking at a particular line item, they might be interested in a particular row here, and they'll say, I want to see the transactions and how they actually came up to that amount. They could actually drill into the line item and see the breakdown of all the transactions that roll up into that figure, broken out in here, debits and credits and the net amount, all the breakdown of the descriptions, the batch number, anything that they would require, even down to a daily level. So this very just simple demonstration of a demo model of how that financial reporting can be automated and how you can provide value to the organization through automating this process. And this is really just scratching the surface. As we mentioned, in a platform like Board, you can even go well beyond financial reporting. The platform does budgeting and planning, it does dashboarding, it does strategic management. So there's just lots to leverage from this platform, and this is just one sort of section of the product in terms of the value that it can provide to an organization. So that's it for now. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. If there are any questions, please, as I mentioned, feel free to input them into the questions box for the webinar. I'll take a look and I'll answer all the questions as they come up. All right, we have a question here. The question is this a replacement for Management Reporter? So theoretically, a product like this could replace Management Reporter. So same idea with Management Reporter. This, for those who are not familiar with the Dynamic Suite, it's a tool that's used for financial reporting for the Microsoft Dynamics ERP systems. This could theoretically replace it. We do have clients that have moved their management reports to Board, And the reason why they do that is they want to be able to easily create new reports. They want to leverage their budgeting platform and be able to quickly update their financial reports. They might also want to pull in non-financial data as well. So with Management Reporter, you're really pulling in the data that's coming just from Dynamics GP. But if there's anything else that you want to be able to pull in and include in those reports, Management Reporter wouldn't necessarily do that. So it depends how you want to leverage it. So theoretically, yes, this could be used to replace Management Reporter. Here's another question, as in people. Okay, so it's just an elaboration on the same question. Was with regards to Management Reporter, as in people typically use it as either or. So yes, we have clients that will keep Management Reporter and just use Board for budgeting and planning, or once they get into budgeting and planning, they'll say, no, I actually want to move my reports over to Board. So it's really just a case-by-case basis, but as you saw, there's a lot of value and power in the platform as far as layouts, drill-down capability, and much more. So I hope that answers your question. Another question here, is Board limited to one ERP system? No, and I mentioned it briefly, but Board can tap into, it's really ERP system agnostic, so Board can tap into really any accounting system. So whether it's any of the Dynamics products like Dynamics GP, AX, Navision, it could be SAP, it could be Oracle, really any accounting system Board could tap into. Here's a good question. Can people input data into Board that doesn't come from the accounting system? The answer is yes. So you can actually set up, if you want to set up data entry templates, so to capture key metrics or stats that don't exist in another system, Board can absolutely be used for data entry to actually capture data and report on it as well. And so you'd see a lot of that also in the planning and budgeting side. Here's another good question. Is there a limit of the number of reports that you can create in Board? No, really there's no reasonable limit. So in Board, you can create as many different layouts, designs, and different reports and packages. So you're not really limited, so you can produce as many as required. Here's another question. Does Board work with Excel? Yes, Board does work with Excel. It's actually, Board's integrated with Microsoft Office. So that's Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. So if you're using any of those platforms, you can actually pull data from the Board database. So we see people use Board to produce, whether it's, say, for example, annual reports, for example, or there's particular tables that they want. Board can be used to pull that information directly from Board, and also if you're preparing PowerPoint presentations as well, you can pull that data from Board, and you can supply filters, quarter to quarter, for example. If you're producing the same PowerPoint each quarter, you can apply filters to say, now I'm looking at Q2, all the data in that PowerPoint presentation gets updated, and the same thing goes with Excel. Here's another good question. Can Board push information back into the Dynamics GP system? The answer is yes. So we do have clients that do want their budget data pushed back to Dynamics GP, for example. So Board can push the data back. So we've worked on those engagements as well. All right. Looks like there's no more questions here, but if you want to reach out at any point in time, please feel free. I'll leave my information up on the screen here. Just bear with me. So if you have any questions related to Board or any of our services relating to whether it's budgeting and planning or financial reporting or strategic management, please feel free to reach out by email or by phone. Information's there. So I also mentioned that this webinar is recorded. So if there are any, if you want to refer back to this at any point in time, the recording will be available. So thank you very much for your time today. I hope you got a lot out of this, and I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.